Manchester City and Santiago City FC, Chile. Manchester City's badge is pretty clean. I mean, it has that circular version of their name, the ship at the top, Lancashire Rose in the middle, and their founding year, 1894. So, when Santiago City FC popped up in Chile in 2022, fans couldn't help but notice, it looked exactly the same. Like, same circle, same ship, and literally the same design. Just swap out Manchester for Santiago, and you're done. City wasn't laughing, though. They actually sent Santiago City a legal warning telling them to change it, which makes sense, because we're talking about one of the biggest clubs in the world here. Their logo is part of a global brand worth billions, not just something you can borrow because you like the design. To be fair, Santiago City FC claimed they weren't copying, but rather inspired by City. But still, it's hard to argue when your badge looks like the Photoshop template version. Eventually, Santiago had to rethink their logo, but for a while, it was like looking at City's badge through a Spanish language filter. Speaking of clubs that have seen their logos cloned, AFC Bournemouth and AFC Utara, Bangladesh. Bournemouth's badge is one of the more unique ones in the Premier League. It's a footballer's head going in for a classic header, framed in a sleek shield shape. But over in Bangladesh, AFC Utara took one look at that design and thought, yeah, we'll have that. Their version is almost identical. Same shield shape, same footballer silhouette, and just some minor changes in colours and text. If you weren't looking closely, you'd think Bournemouth had suddenly joined the Bangladesh League. This isn't even one of those, maybe they just happen to be similar cases. It's pretty clear Utara just borrowed it, heavily. No real explanation ever came from the Bangladeshi side. But given Bournemouth's profile in recent years, it's probably only a matter of time before there's a polite but firm legal email in their inbox. And just so you know, Bournemouth isn't the only Premier League club to find its identity living a double life overseas. Crystal Palace and SPG Raisen-Antolz, Germany. Crystal Palace's badge is all about that big, sharp-looking eagle gripping the top of the Crystal Palace exhibition building. It's bold, distinctive, and certainly not the sort of thing you expect to see copied halfway across Europe. But in Germany, amateur club SPG Rasen-Antolz rolled out a badge that, well, looks like Crystal Palace's slightly cheaper cousin. It had the same eagle, same pose, even the same architectural element underneath. The only difference was a few changes in the building's details and the colouring, which was enough to make it legally questionable, but visually obvious. It's not clear if Crystal Palace ever confronted them about it, maybe because it's a small amateur side and not a commercial rival. But still, imagine working hard on your club identity, and one day you see it pop up in Bavaria with a few tweaks. That's the reality of badge inspiration. And sometimes, it's not just the design that gets copied, it's the whole name and theme. Arsenal and Gunners Harare, Zimbabwe. Arsenal is known as the Gunners because of its deep history with the Royal Arsenal in Woolwich. Their badge has always leaned into that, with the iconic cannon and their signature red and gold colour scheme. Over in Zimbabwe, Gunners Harare decided to take all of that, the nickname, the cannon, and the shield, and just made it their own. When they popped up in the mid-2000s, the resemblance to Arsenal's badge was undeniable. It's not totally unheard of that smaller clubs often copy bigger ones they admire, especially in countries where the Premier League is massive. And in Zimbabwe, Arsenal have a big following. Gunners Harare even leaned into it in their branding. Almost like being the Zimbabwean Arsenal was part of their selling point. Hey, if you've been enjoying this video so far, don't let it stop here. Like and subscribe so you have first-hand access to the videos as soon as they drop. Next up, we have Aston Villa and Aston Villa, Antigua and Barbuda. You'd think if you were going to name your new football club after an existing one, you might at least change the badge. But nope. In Antigua and Barbuda, there's a club called Aston Villa that uses almost exactly the same logo as the Premier League side. It's the same lion, same colours and same initials. Basically everything except the league they play in. The only real differences are small adjustments in text and proportion. The Caribbean Aston Villa has been around for years, and by all accounts, there's no animosity between the two. It almost feels like a tribute. But it's still wild to think there's a halfway across and feel like you're at Villa Park, if you squinted hard enough. And this idea of paying tribute, or straight-up cloning, isn't just an English football thing. In fact, some of the biggest examples come from Spain, Real Madrid and Real Potosí, Bolivia. Real Madrid's badge is one of the most recognizable in world football. The crown, the royal blue and gold color scheme, and that diagonal stripe cutting across the middle. So when Real Potosí in Bolivia started using something strikingly similar, it wasn't hard to guess where the inspiration came from. Their logo swaps out the M for a P and adjusts the colours slightly, but the structure is unmistakably Madrid. Even the crown is there, almost unchanged. It's not unusual for South American clubs to borrow from Spanish teams. The cultural and language connection makes it feel like paying homage. In Potosí's case, it's almost like they wanted to be the Bolivian Galacticos. And honestly, if you're trying to inspire your players and fans, there are worse clubs to copy than the most successful team in Champions League history. Speaking of Spanish giants, Barcelona and Barcelona SC, Ecuador, and Fath Riadi Donador, Morocco. If imitation is the most sincere form of flattery, then Barcelona must be feeling pretty good. In Ecuador, Barcelona SC has been rocking a badge almost identical to the Catalan original since 1925. The main difference is just a few changes in lettering and local symbolism. The link is actually historical. The founder of Barcelona SC was a Spanish immigrant from Catalonia who wanted to bring a piece of home with him. And honestly, I don't see an issue with it. Then there's Fath Riadi Donador in Morocco, who took the same idea and ran with it, creating a logo that's basically Barcelona with a different colour scheme. Both clubs have kept their versions for decades, and in both cases, it's been fully embraced by fans. What's interesting here is that Barcelona themselves seem pretty relaxed about it, maybe because these clubs aren't trying to compete with them directly, and the connections run deep historically. But the sheer popularity of the Barca badge makes it one of the most copied designs in football. Bayer Leverkusen and Vihar Slavyanovo, Bulgaria. Bayer Leverkusen's badge isn't exactly subtle. The bold logo shape, the twin lions on either side, and the name front and centre make it hard to miss. It's the sort of design you don't expect to see pop up anywhere else. Yet Vihar Slavyanovo in Bulgaria apparently saw no issue with making a nearly identical one. The Bulgarian version keeps the shield, the lions, and even the banner style, and just swapped the club name and changed a few colours. It's so close you could put them side by side and confuse someone at a glance. Unlike some of the other examples, this one doesn't have a clear historical or cultural link. It feels more like a straight-up, we like this, let's use it situation. And with Leverkusen enjoying more global attention lately thanks to their success in the Bundesliga, it's the sort of thing that might get noticed more in the coming years. Juventus and Dako Getica Bucharest, Romania. When Juventus unveiled their sleek minimalist J logo in 2017, some loved the bold move, while others thought it looked like a fashion brand. But in Romania, Dako Getica Bucharest must have been in the love it camp, because they went and made their own badge that looked almost exactly the same. I'm talking about the same double-line J shape, the same overall layout, which was just slightly adjusted to fit their name. However, Juventus were not having it. They took legal action, and by 2018, Dako Getica had been forced to rebrand entirely. Nottingham Forest and Carolina Dynamo, USA. Nottingham Forest's badge is one of the simplest in the game. Just a stylized tree and river lines representing Sherwood Forest and the River Trent. It's clean, timeless, and instantly recognizable to fans. Over in the US, Carolina Dynamo thought it was pretty recognizable too. So recognizable that they made a near carbon copy for their own club logo. In their case, it might have been a mix of admiration and wanting to borrow a classy European look for a relatively young American club. Nottingham Forest never made much fuss about it, probably because Carolina Dynamo play in the lower leagues and don't exactly overlap with Nottingham Forest's fan base. But still, it's one of the clearest, yep, that's the same badge moments you'll find. And finally, let's finish with one of the more recent copycat cases. Brighton and Hove Albion and NK Jadran Galeb, Croatia. Brighton's badge, the crisp circle with a flying seagull in the middle, is about as clean as they come. It's modern, simple, and works perfectly on everything from kits to scarves, which is probably why NK Jadran Galeb in Croatia decided it would work perfectly for them too. Their version swaps the seagull for another seagull, keeps the same circular frame, and even uses a similar font for the club name. It's basically Brighton with a language change. This one actually caught Brighton's attention pretty quickly. Reports say the club formally asked Jadran Galeb to change it and pointed out the clear similarities. While the letter did not include legal threats, it was a clear indication of Brighton's intent to protect their trademark. After Brighton's polite request, NK Jadran Galeb quickly swapped out their logo, with the Croatian Football Federation even pulling the old one from their site. In January 2025, NK Jadran Galeb revealed a new logo with a seagull facing forward. Still a seagull, but at least now it's not stealing Brighton's spotlight. And that's the thing with football badges. They're not just designs. They're history, identity, and emotion all rolled into one. So when someone copies it, whether it's out of admiration or laziness, it's always going to stir a reaction. And if you've spotted other clubs that clearly, let's say, took inspiration from someone else's badge, drop them in the comments. We might have to do a part 2. Don't forget to like and subscribe, unless your favourite club is on this list, in which case, I'll understand if you just leave quietly.